All right, good evening, Nanisa. Thanks for waiting. Once again, thanks for your patience. I was struggling with some details before used more time to finish the previous class. But again, I'm here and we're going to continue working and we're going to resume some activities related to writing. Okay? Last time we were talking about pronunciation, identifying right some vowels and consonants because of the problems that you told me, right, that you have, or that actually that you still have perhaps on recognizing some differences, right? And I gave you some recommendations. Now, again, that's not going to produce a change immediately. That has to be part of a constant practice, Anissa, and it has to be daily. All right, daily. And again, this extra thing that I gave you, Anissa, is also good if you really want to improve that, let's say, hearing skill that you have to develop to recognize the small differences. Because again, usually, again, at a certain age, right, we develop the ability that we got of recognizing or telling, right, some differences in pitch or again in the sound of some vowels and consonants. But again, with the ideas that I gave you, with all those recommendations and a couple of exercises right, related to opening, closing your mouth, seeing the difference that you produce, because that's the first step, right? Recognizing the sounds that you make, recognizing how the same vowel can be different with an open mouth, with a right in an intermediate level, right, of opening, with a closed mouth, with a smile, without a smile, being serious, being happy. So try to play with your mouth. You have to try to play with your entire mouth. Okay, your lips, your teeth, your tongue. All right, and try to play on how the air happens over there. It passes right some places because again that's the key and that's natural when you learn the language as a native or a speaker, but it's a little bit unnatural and you have to train your body, not only your ear, not only your knowledge, you have to train your body to speak a language correctly. Okay, again, that's something that few people do because they only believe that learning a language is memorizing words and practicing those words. But again, an important part of that is using your body correctly. All right. I wanted to give that as an introduction in these 4 minutes that I used, Anissa, just to put emphasis on that you have to practice that, and you're going to let me know how you're doing with those exercises. Now we're going to start with one lesson that I believe is important in terms of knowing, I mean vocabulary, because we're going to take a look at phrasal verbs, and we're going to resume also our practices for writing paragraphs. Because besides doing what I'm going to tell you, using those phrasal verbs in sentences, we're going to use the knowledge that you have in these specific presentations and little by little. Okay, this is part of the introduction. I'm going to tell you that now. But before going there, let me know, please, if you have any question related to the things that we said that we did yesterday and to, well, this short, well, kind of short, not that short, this introduction about that matter. Let me know, please, Danny. So, do you have any questions or comments before starting?
No, I don't have questions. I didn't have enough time to practice about comparison with nouns, but a few minutes ago I was trying to get notes, so I think I still have the knowledge.
That's good. And again, what we're going to do, because, and actually you have to tell me this, that I need to recognize, because again, as part of the program, I have to cover everything. But I need you to tell me if you want to use the time that we got practicing some of those structures. But if you remember them, again, we can use the time for extra practice. But like yesterday, right, you told me I have a problem with this and this. It's important that you express that to me so that I know how much time I can give to some of the lessons. And perhaps even some of the lessons, we don't need to cover them because they are very simple, or because you remember or you know that structure, and instead of learning the presentation, we can just practice. Okay, and the most important thing to do is telling you to tell me something, we are going to increase the time little by little. Yesterday, right, it was, well, in the previous practice, and with this, again, you're going to tell me something. It was supposed to be right 1 minute and 30 seconds, 2 minutes. You used more time. I didn't stop you because it was good. I really want you to produce. So to me, that's even more valuable in the case of practicing. But it's going to be like that, all right? The questions that need some attention, that's what we're going to cover. But I really need your feedback. If at the beginning and in the introduction I'm going to ask you, and you know about that topic, we can go to the next lesson or practice something else. All right? But that's the logic. I don't know if you have any comments about that, or if you want to practice something about the things that we saw yesterday. My idea now is starting something new because I believe that you had yesterday's topic. But what do you say? Is it okay if we start with phrasal verbs and to work with these paragraphs that I'm telling you? Or do you need to practice something from the previous lesson? What do you say?
No, I think that it's okay the way you structure the class for today. Just go. I have the ideas. I need to. I don't know. So how can I say asentar?
You can say settle. You have to settle down those ideas.
Those, yes, but just a little more now. Nothing. Those are no strange ideas, so it's going to be okay.
All right, good. So it means today is going to be, I think, interesting because we're going to see that vocabulary, that those are phrasal verbs that you have to know. Actually, it's very important that you know that. By heart, at least you need to know a big quantity or big number of phrasal verbs because, again, it's common that they use that speaking. Okay, so let's go to the lesson then. This is the one. We're going to read those important, only the main phrasal verbs that I'm going to tell you. And after learning some of those phrasal verbs, remember that you have access to all the presentations that it's. So I need you to have this presentation. Actually, let me check where it is because you are going to need to check that. It is part of lesson number 2. Okay, so remember, let's go to the platform. If you go not lesson, unit number 2, and you go to unit 2, lesson number 1 of unit 2 is the presentation that I'm using now. Okay, you're going to use that presentation in Anitza or the paragraphs that you're going to write because you cannot memorize the meaning now, so you have to check the presentation. And also something extra that you can have open, Anitza, is in courses, information, and contact, right? The first section, you have extra, and it says writing. And over there, this is not yet, okay? We have the time because this is part of another course. We're going to check this template, all right? But now, only this presentation about commas, colons, semicolons, and dashes, and these punctuation rules that you have over here.
Like that.
You have it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Also have that there if you want to have that open because as you're going to be writing the paragraphs, you're going to be applying these rules. Okay, of course, right now I'm not going to ask you to know this by heart or to use all the rules that you have in these presentations or in these documents, but at least you can use that as a guide or as a reference to know when to use commas and all those punctuation marks. Okay, so that's really going to be your reference. It's not going to be something that I ask again, but little by little, I'm going to be asking you this as part of your production. All right, so let's integrate that little by little. So let's begin then. Again, you can interrupt me at any moment if you get to have questions. So the first question that I got for you, Danita, before going there, irrelated, it's not here. So what is a phrasal verb? How do you use phrasal verbs in your speech? And what do you say?
A phrasal verb is usually a group of words, yes, that can express an idea or a complex idea. I think that's it.
Yes, and how do you use it in a sentence? What part of the sentence is this phrasal verb? I mean, it's part of the name, right? But try to give me an example and tell me this is the phrasal verb and this is the function that it's doing. Just give me one example and let's analyze the sentence that you give.
Mm, uh, mm, maybe the only phrasal verb I think right now I can apply is like calm down is a phrasal verb. I know that, and it's something like he should calm down because it's not a big deal, for example. So here you use that phrasal to express that the person should or she should relax or let things happen or something like that.
Okay, so calm down, right, with them. Just try to put a little bit of emphasis in that last M, because if not, it was, I was hearing like calm down, but it's calm, right? An M, right? Okay, good. So let's repeat that one, please. Calm down.
Calm down.
Calm down. Exactly. More like it's even a little bit more nasal, right? Calm down. Okay, good. Yes. So also, and what's the function of that phrasal verb? It is the verb, right? It's the action. So if you analyze, a phrasal verb is only a verb that is composed, as you said, of words. And mainly, how many words can a phrasal verb be composed of, Denise?
I think 2, even 3, because I know look in on, like or look on in, something like that. It's 3 words.
Correct. Phrasal verbs can have 2 to 3 words, right? That's going to be the top. If you have one more, that's not a phrasal verb. You can have, but that's not going to be part of the phrasal verb. That's going to be a phrasal verb plus another word that is going to be there. Okay, but yes, only 3. That's going to be the top. And a very common one actually is something that I believe I mentioned in the lesson of used to. And Anita, do you remember I mentioned that used to when using with be, it's not a verb, right? It's an adjective. And to is like the particle, the preposition, right? That's why we say I'm used to traveling, and we don't say I'm used to travel, right? Because to is a preposition. And it happens the same with another one that I mentioned. I don't know if you remember that one. It also finishes in to. And I told you these are the 2 exceptions where to is not infinitive, but to is a preposition. And it's common to say that at the end of a letter or when you are excited about something in the future. And it's a phrasal verb of 3 words. Do you remember?
No. No,
right.
sorry.
It's going to be, the meaning is when you're excited or happy for something happening in the future. And the phrasal verb is look forward to. Okay, so look forward to is a 3-word phrasal verb, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing you, right? It's incorrect if you say to see you, because in that case, to is part of a preposition or is a preposition. All right, and I told you, right? That one and used to are the 2 most well known and the ones that I believe I know because I actually I forgot about doing some research about that. But I can tell you about those 2 with finishing in 2 that are going to be followed by gerund and not the base form or the infinitive. Okay, but let's have that in mind. Look forward to. Okay, look forward to is a 3-word phrasal verb and it's also an inseparable phrasal verb. So we're going to see here. All right, so let's have that in mind. But remember that then these verbs, if they are verbs, they can be conjugated in present, past, future, any tense that you want. But of course, you have to remember, not all tenses are going to be okay with all phrasal verbs because of the meaning, right? If I ask about this phrasal verb, Danitza, run into, right? R-U-N into I-N-T-O. What is the meaning of run into?
I usually use, I don't use that, but I usually um, hear that expression in series when I don't know, the main character is going to have problems or is going to make some actions. It's something that I run into, you know, right? Just like when you are going to do something, but I'm not sure.
Perhaps in that one, Danitza, I get the idea, but I believe that because remember, not all the combinations are going to be phrasal verbs. Sometimes it's going to be a coincidence to use the verb plus the preposition, and you can use the literal meaning. Right? For example, you say, I'm running into the house. Okay, that's not the phrasal verb, right? But that's a literal meaning, the action of running and into a place, right? And perhaps they were using that in that sense. Or also perhaps it was a different interpretation. Why? Because the meaning of run into is to find someone accidentally or to meet someone accidentally. Okay? It means with no willing and it was not planned. Okay, imagine you have your ex-boyfriend, Lisa. You are walking on the street and you can run into your boyfriend. And it depends, right? If it was a good experience, a bad experience, you're going to say, oh no, it's him, right? And you cross the street, right, in order not to say hi. Or you say hi, right? How are you? Okay, so running into someone is to find someone or to meet someone unexpectedly, accidentally. All right. And my question there was, or the logic of saying that my purpose, Danitza, was that in that case, it's weird to say that in present or in future. It's possible, but it's more common to say that in what? In past. Why? Because running into things is not a routine, right? But of course it can happen. You can say, I always run into that same person. I'm tired. Okay, so that's possible. But in the future, you only say run into in the future if you are predicting, if you're a witch and you can see the future, right? So you say, tomorrow you will run into your uncle. Okay, but again, if you analyze, it's weird and it's not common. That's why some phrasal verbs are going to be better sometimes in past, sometimes in present, sometimes in future, sometimes in continuous tenses, sometimes in simple tenses. It depends on what? On the meaning, right? So it's not that they have limits. They don't have limits, but the limitation is on the meaning that they have. All right, that's the idea that I wanted to transmit. So you can use the phrasal verbs in any tense, but just be careful that the meaning goes along with your sentence. Because if you say something that sounds unnatural and incorrect, not because of how you're using that in the sentence, but because of the context and the meaning, it's going to be incorrect. All right, and again, not grammatically speaking, but in the sense of the meaning that it has. All right, I wanted to mention that because I believe it's important. We know this, so they are verbs. A verb plus a particle, right? So you must know this phrasal verb. This is very common, right? Wake up, get up, right? Go out. Okay, so you must know a lot of phrasal verbs that we use constantly because they are part of common routines that we got. Now, if that's a phrasal verb, this is what an inseparable phrasal verb is, Danitza. So let's read this definition, please, because this is important.
Okay. Separable phrasal verb is a phrasal verb which not does not allow an object be placed between the verb and the particle.
So it's easy to get, right? It means that this combination of verb plus particle or particles, they cannot be separated. They are always together, and after that, you can use a verb or the idea that follows. Okay, so we go straight to the point now, Danitza. We're going to read not all of them. You have this presentation, you can read all of them and practice with them. And then you can let me know, right? You can write extra examples, Danitza, and you tell me, I wrote these examples, please, can you check them? And I'm going to check them, okay? But right now, we're going to pay attention to the most important ones that are going to be these two over here. All right, because they are more common statistically speaking. Come across and count on. Let's read the two of them, please. The phrasal verb, the meaning, and the example.
Okay. Come across something. Find accidentally. While cleaning my house, I came across a check I have forgotten to deposit. Count on something or someone, depend on, rely on. I'm counting on you to send me the information by the end of the day. I need it as soon as possible.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, here, I just mentioned the phrasal verb, right, at the beginning, not at the beginning, but I asked you about that phrasal verb. So, what is a phrasal verb similar to come across?
Running.
Right. Come across is going to be more commonly used with what? With things. And run into is going to be more commonly with what? With people. With someone, right? So you come across something and you run into someone, and you're going to see that in a moment. Okay, but take that into account. These two phrasal verbs are important, Danisa, because every time we find something by accident, and we find people or people by accident. Okay, so it's common to use these phrasal verbs. And count on, of course, right? It's something very common. So take that into account. Later, I'm going to give the instructions to use these as part of the paragraphs. These are the first two. I don't know if you have questions about these two phrasal verbs. Because then you're okay. Let's go to the next one. All right, those two are very simple. Now here, again, we're going to try to pay attention to the ones I'm moving the bars that I got here. Okay, that are very important and that you have to know. All right, so again, this is very common. Cover, look after this. This is the one that we set, right? These three over here. So let's read those three, please.
Okay. Get rid of, eliminate, throw away. We have rats in the house. We need to call the exterminator to get rid of them. Look after something or someone, take care of. I can go out tonight because I'm looking after my sister's children. Look forward to, feel happy, excited about something in the future. I'm really looking forward to our family vacation in Florida. It's going to be us.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So here we have two examples of phrasal verbs with three parts, right? The verb and two particles, right? It's get rid of and look forward to, right? Those are two examples of what we mentioned before and what you said also. So these are also very common. I believe that you don't have problems in understanding them, but just in case, let me know. Just remember the rule. They are finishing in what here, Danitza? They are finishing in particles or prepositions, right? That's why if we don't use a noun or a pronoun after them, you have to use a verb in what form? In gerund. Exactly. Okay, take that into account because it's common to make mistakes in that sense. If you say prepositions, you have to use gerunds. All right, but not in every case it's going to be possible, Anita, because not all verbs can be followed by other actions. Some of them can, but not all of them. Okay, so you have to analyze one by one. If it's possible to say that, then do it. All right. But what do you say? Any questions about these three?
No.
All right.
No.
And again, I know the questions are going to be right when you practice, but here you can ask questions in terms of if the meaning is clear or some other details. Okay, let's keep going. Now here, this is a very important verb, right? Why? Because I believe that there's not another way to say this. It's close, but I believe that this is the only way to say this in English with this logic. Okay, so that's why this is important. This is what I told you, but again, we have to practice. Settle on. This is close to what you were saying. Okay, settle on like this is the side. Settle down with down is what you were telling me, right? To establish something, to fix something. All right, settle down. But here you have settle down, settle on. And this one, because this is very special, okay? And because it's different. The meaning doesn't have to do anything with the verb and the preposition. It's like something very different. All right, that's why I also want you to pay attention to this. So let's read the three of them, please.
Put up with something, someone, tolerate something, someone unpleasant. One of my colleagues is not very nice, but we put up with him because he does excellent work. Run into someone meet unexpectedly. I ran into my ex-boyfriend at the supermarket. That was an unpleasant surprise. Take after someone. Resemble in looks or personality. She's very friendly and extroverted. She takes after her mother.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so here my recommendation, put up with, again, that's perhaps the only way to express this idea with these characteristics, to tolerate something or someone unpleasant, right? And take after, because again, many people say take after, right? I'm going to take this after you, but that's going to be literal, right? Remember, I told you, sometimes we can use this combination literally, right? And you say, hey, take this for you. And you say, no, don't worry, I'm going to take that or take it or take after you. But if you use take after as a phrasal verb, remember it means resemble in looks or personality. It means when you have similarities with someone else, right, in those terms. Okay, and usually you mention your family members, okay, or close friends, because you can share the same personality, right? And you can say, hey, everyone tells me that I take after my best friend because we behave in the same way, right? So you take after your best friend because you look, all right, or you resemble in personality in that case. Or it's very common that you hear, right? Hey, you take after your mother, or you take after your father. It means again that you have similarities with them. Okay, and again, it can be physically speaking or in terms of personality. All right, I just wanted to put emphasis on that because those two can be very important, well, because of what I told you. So I don't know if you have questions there.
No, but I know I will have a lot of questions.
All right. So when the questions come, you let me know. All right. So this is the last one, and with this, we will go to our practice. And we're going to have the time. Yes, we will have the time because I'm going to give you 8 to 10 minutes this time to write at least, all right, 2 paragraphs this time. Not only one, but 2 paragraphs. Tochon turn into, let's read the two of them, please, because these are the only two that are left.
Okay. Touch on something mentioned briefly during a speech or discussion. We touched on the issue of employee satisfaction during meeting. but we didn't go into much detail. Turning to become the caterpillar turned into butterfly. Oh,
Great. Right? So I believe that they are easy to get. Turn into is very common. All right, very common to become, turn into something, right? And touch on also, but remember, it has to be briefly. You don't say touch on when you're going to talk about a lot of time or when it's going to be the main topic on your discussion, right? If that's the case, don't say touch on. You say just discuss or something else. But touch on again, just when it's briefly mentioned, and then you go back to the real topic. All right, just that recommendation with touch on. So let's directly go to the practice that we got. Again, you're going to let me know. Remember, you have the presentation for you. It should be open. Why? Because, again, taking into account the presentations that I told you, eh, that is, of course, the commas, the semicolons, the colons, and the dashes, you can take them into account. But this is also important, this document, because it has a lot of transitional words and phrases, right? Additionally, furthermore, conversely, in contrast, admittedly, regardless, granting that, initially, secondly, thirdly, to start with, right? Eventually, finally, therefore, and so on and so forth. So you have everything to organize, all right, your paragraphs that you're going to write now, and not only to organize them, but to make them feel natural and well connected. All right, because you can have paragraphs that are organized over there, but the flow is not that natural. And in order to make it natural, you have to try to use more of these phrasal verbs, or if you remember about the found voice, Danitza, also use the found voice, right? And nor, but, so, and so on, with the punctuation marks that we learned and that we know, and that you know as well because you have knowledge on this matter. So the idea again is going to be free as always because I just want you to apply these phrasal verbs, all right, in the best way possible. It's hard to do it, yes, it can be hard, but I want to see how you're going to deal with that. In the two paragraphs that we're going to have, I'm just going to ask you to use a minimum of 6 phrasal verbs. It means in total, 3 phrasal verbs in
oh,
the first paragraph and 3 phrasal verbs in the second paragraph. Why? Because again, to do more, perhaps even that could be a lot. But yeah, tell me, Denisa.
no, sorry.
Okay, so again, that can be a lot, but it depends on how you organize your ideas. But I believe that 3 is a good number because you have up to 6 complete ideas in each paragraph to use at least just 3 in each paragraph. Again. So, but again, remember that's the minimum. If you know or you can guess to use more, do it. All right, but that's, let's say, the requirement. 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph should have at least 6 complete ideas, and in between those 6 complete ideas, 3 phrasal verbs for the first one and 3 for the second one. That's it. The tense, you decide the tense because again, it has to be something natural for you. You see what phrasal verbs you want to use because remember, some of them are good for past, for future. So I don't want to put a limit on that, so you can use any phrasal verb that you can think of. That's the only instruction, and I'm going to give you the time. Let me know, please, if you have questions or comments, so that we have the 8 to 10 minutes tops to finish the two paragraphs. Let me know, please. What do you say?
That's okay. I understand the idea.
I'm going to start with the timer then, with the, all right, stopwatch. In 8 minutes, I see how you're doing. If I see that you're missing some elements, we're going to have the 10 minutes, and we check. Okay, let's begin, please. All right, so we are with 8 minutes. Again, we can have extra time, but we are going to see how you're doing, and we see. All right, so let's try to finish that then. Yes, so we're going to have 2 extra minutes. Okay, let's try to finish as much as you can in those 2 minutes that we got, and we'll check that. All right, so let's take a look at that. Again, it's important to try to apply everything and to do it in class so that we can see how we're doing. All right, so let's replace everything you got, Anita. Let me give you a short feedback and we will finish the class with that.
Okay, sorry, okay. The last few months has been too cold for me. I have turned into an ice cube in my office because the sun doesn't touch my floor. You know. In fact, my boss got called for time between those months, and she asked for permission twice because of that. Overall, I usually run into colleagues that ask, why do you always use clothes and cardigans? And that's when I noticed that out of my office, the temperature it's around 15 degrees.
All right, thank you very much, Denise. Now I'm going to again copy this. Let's keep the short feedback to see. All right, the details. Now, the first detail to remember here, if this is going to be your subject, right, then it's going to be plural. But you have 2 options here, right? You can make this the last few months your introductory phrase, use a comma, and you can use an impersonal pronoun that is going to be it, like this. Okay, the last few months, comma, it has been too cold for me. But if your idea is to use this as your main subject, then without modifying that a lot, this is going to be half because it's plural. Okay, so we're going to keep this one over here because it's closer to the idea that you wanted to give. All right, and again, in this case, because it's plural and this is the subject here. Then I have turned into, all right, a nice cup in my office because, right, the sun doesn't touch my floor. All right, you can say perhaps can't, or but you can also, instead of touch, you can say reach in the sense of not getting there, or that doesn't get to my floor. But in general, all right, my recommendation is going to be reach, and instead of doesn't, can be can't, or the same. The two ideas can work. All right, I'm going to give the two ideas over here. So you can say the sun can't reach. Or that's one idea, or doesn't get to touch, or simply touch is also okay. All right, no problem with that. But this can be my recommendation in this specific case. All right, yes, and you call the floor. All right, so we get the idea. It's just something else that you can use, right? And in fact, I believe this is going to be still part of the first paragraph. So in fact, my boss got yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if you get a cold, actually, if you're talking about here the sickness, it's not going to be got cold. You can get cold if you feel cold. But if you're talking about the sickness, you're going to say a cold. All right, that's going to be the sickness. But I don't know, what do you want to say here? Are you talking about the temperature changing or the sickness that it's
Sickness.
the sickness? All right, so it's going to be countable. It's weird, but it's going to be a cold. Boss got a cold 4 times between those months. And here, right, we need the comma. Why? Because it's a fanboy dividing two ideas. All right, it can be about the same subject, but remember, if you can memorize this as obligatory, it's better than recognizing when it's optional and when not. And she asked for permission twice because of that. All right, overall, I usually run into colleagues that asked. Now, yes, if it's a past routine, it is correct. Now, if you're using a colon, it means that this is a direct, or an, yes, this is a direct, all right, let's say, not question speech. And if it's direct, we have to use colon. All right, so not only colon, also comma, but the quotation marks. All right, now if you don't want to use the quotation marks, you do use the colon, and instead of that, you can use like embedded questions, right? And you can say, I usually run into colleagues that ask me why I always use codes and guardians. All right, so that's the other alternative. Don't use the colon, and you can use that as an embedded question. All right, now here it's not bad. It's okay. They want to ask an object or ask, but here you're talking about past also, so it's okay. And that's when I noticed, right, that out of, right, my office, the temperature is around. Now here, if you're talking about the temperature and that's your subject, then you will say only the temperature is around, unless you're clarifying something with that. Okay, I noticed that out of my office or outside my office, the temperature is around that, and that. Let's check the idea over there. Yes. Why? Because this is going to be when, right? That when I notice that this is true, comma, the temperature is around 15 degrees. That's going to be the second part of your idea with when, right? Because you're using clauses. And here, of course, well, just because of the context, you can clarify if this is going to be Celsius or Fahrenheit. All right, so we can say that. right, so that's it. I mean, those are just small details that we're taking a look now. But again, because of the time, that's everything I can do. We can improve by adding some extra elements and by working some other details. But that's it for now. I don't know if you have any questions about these details, please, Anita. Let me know if you do.
No, I think it's the dynamic with this kind of paragraphs are good for me.
Good. So you like to practice like that, right? Or do you want to do this in a different way? Because again, to me, the idea is to see how you can plan, how you can show everything.
You know, I like this kind of dynamic. It's important.
Okay, that's great then. So we're going to practice. Actually, for me, we will be practicing this a lot. Again, sometimes we don't do it because of the time. Also today, right, we cannot do more because of the time. But that's it, all right? It's great that you can consider and you see this as positive for you, because I believe that along with speaking, writing, because those are two elements for production, are the most important elements and the hardest sometimes for people. All right, so that's it then for now. Danitza, I'm sharing please the poll as always for today's class that you can see now. After you fill that out, then you may leave the class. Thanks for being here tonight. Have a good one, and I'll see you on Friday to continue working together.
Thank you, Jose Luis.
Bye bye. Take care. See you on Friday.
See ya.